Welcome to our Monday study. Today is September 1st, 2025. Thank you so much for joining me. So, today is Labor Day. So, I don't know what you did. I hope that you enjoyed your day. Did you rest? Did you labor? Write what you did in the comments and tell me what you did. So let me know, what did you do for Labor Day. So I want to walk you through a little bit of history of Labor Day. So Labor Day in the U.S., although other countries have it, but for our Labor Day, it's celebrating you working your fingers to the bone. It's celebrating your labor. And so the Labor Day holiday came into existence back in 1894, I believe. And the goal of this secret society, I'll have to say, which was called the Knights of Labor, was that they wanted to keep people working. They had people working under some harsh conditions, and they wanted to keep that work going. And then they had some people that demanded that they work 8 hours a day. They wanted 8 hours more. They want more work. Give me more work. And so that's one of the reasons why I said Labor Day is about you working your fingers to the bone the other days of the other days, during the other days, and you have that one day just to do whatever you want to do. It's supposed to be you honoring your labor. So I don't know if you honored your labor today. That's why you're going to tell me in the comments or whatever. But again, they wanted 8 hours a day, and I'm just shocked that people didn't ask for 10 or 12 and they didn't want more. But nevertheless, this goal of this Knights of Armor or Knights of Labor was to make sure that you got what you asked for, what those people in that time asked for. And they wanted 8 hours. They wanted to work. They wanted to be overworked, and they wanted 8 hours, and that's what they got. And so for some, it was even child labor as well. So just don't forget that. That a lot of these people, there were not any age limits at that time, so they had a lot of children that were working. So as I said, basically this organization, this Knights of Labor, advocated for people to leave their homes. Mainly men were leaving their homes and their wives and their children to work for someone else on their property, in their buildings. That is what how Labor Day originated, okay? And so there's some other things that are there, but I wanted you to kind of get the gist of the fact that that's how it started. This Knights of Labor, which now they've, snowballed that into many unions across the country that advocate for your well-being, I guess. And so the male, primarily, because that's what this was focused on at the time, they left their homes because they were working from home, working in their homes, doing whatever trade they had developed, which usually was a family trade. So they left that family trade and they went out to work for someone else, to work on their property, to build for them. And so that's where we are now. Of course, you want to add women, because I know you want to be equal, ladies. You kind of go to the women's suffrage time in the 1920s, where all the feminists are like, yes, we want to work, we want to get out there, we want to work to join our spouses and our husbands in working. And so that is what happened. The feminists got what they wanted as well. And so the woman now begins to join all the men in laboring. And so what does that mean? That means that the home is left unattended. The house is empty. The children and the family are there raising themselves. And as you can see today, and where we are right now, the product of two-parent households. Now, again, I work, okay? So not saying no to work or bashing work or even bashing women that work, okay? But you can see how the progression is from Labor Day, the actual dating labor, the official Labor Day, starting from you being a man laboring to now everybody is working. Okay, everybody's working. And now the children, the product of that is the things that we see currently in all of the states as it relates to teens. Not all teens, but many teens and young adults are kind of not really, they are wandering around and not really having an idea of what to do. So no one is teaching them morals and values because we're too busy, we're working. Okay. So now I wanted to give you a little bit of a history of that before I started with telling you that that is man's way of work. That is what it starts with. Labor Day, it starts with them adding 8 hours. Some people work 10 hours, some people work 12 or even 16 hours a day. It started with that as it relates to this country, but really from a biblical standpoint, because that's what I'm here for. I'm here to give you the biblical point of view. It started with God talking to it was Father, Son, and Holy Spirit in Genesis chapter 1, specifically verse 26. And this is what it reads. This is from the King James Version. It reads, "And God said, let us make man in our own image, after our likeness, and let them have dominion over the fish of the sea, over the fowl of the air, and over the cattle, and over all the earth, and over every creeping thing that creepeth upon the earth." So that is Genesis chapter 1, verse 26. And then it goes on 28 to 30, and I'll read it. It says, "And God blessed them." So he blessed man. And God said unto them, "Be fruitful and multiply." So this is to man and woman. This is before Adam became Adam, before Eve is Eve. This is God speaking of his expectations and the potential of man. He says, "Be fruitful and multiply, replenish the earth and subdue it, and have dominion over the fish of the sea, and over the fowl of the air, and over every living thing that moveth upon the earth." And God said, "Behold, I have given you, man, every herb bearing seed upon the face of the earth, and every tree in which is the fruit of a yielding seed," okay, to you. So this is again God talking to mankind, because Adam had not been formed just yet, and he's talking to mankind about mankind responsibilities. Okay, so this is him saying, "I've given you dominion over this." He goes on to say, God says, "To you it shall be for meat, and to every beast of the earth, and to every fowl of the air, and to everything that creepeth upon the earth, wherein there is life. I have given every green herb for meat," and it was so. So it was so, because God said so. It was so. Now, what does all this mean? It means that from the very beginning in Genesis chapter 1 verse 26, the responsibility and the work, this is what work was. Okay, this is exactly what work was. It was mankind having dominion over everything, over the fish, over the fowl of the earth, the cattle, over the earth itself, and over the creeping things, right? And what does he say in verse 28? He tells mankind to be fruitful and multiply. That's not just you go make a whole bunch of babies. That means what I've given you dominion over, I want you to multiply it. I want you to make it fruitful. I want you to increase it. Okay, I want you to, and then he says, replenish the earth. So what are you doing? You are working and laboring on earth, in the earth. Okay, you are subduing, meaning you have control over it. And then he even expounds on that, and have dominion over it, right? So over everything. That's the charge and the responsibility that God gives mankind. Okay, so now Adam really has it pretty easy by the time he's formed, right? Because he's formed from what God spoke to in this. He's formed from the earth. Adam is, right? And so now we're talking about Adam's responsibilities. He gets the opportunity to really, in an easy way, he could speak to a tree, and then it would have fruit. Okay, he could speak to the fish, and fish come to me. Now he has all the fish he wants. Okay, he could speak to the cattle. Up, make me a cheeseburger, give it to me. Right, give me the best brisket. Okay, he had the authority to be able to speak and say, to multiply, to be fruitful, to have control over any cattle, any bird, anything. At his command, those things had to obey him, because that is what dominion is, and that's what mankind had, right? Now, this is before sin. Okay, now let's fast forward to after sin, and what does labor look like? Well, you and I know what labor looks like. Okay, we know what labor looks like, because we are working and laboring, and they set it at 8 hours a day. But again, many people are working 10, 12, 16 hours a day. You know, some people are firefighters. They're staying overnight multiple days. So we know what labor looks like after sin. Okay, now let's go to what it looks like from a biblical standpoint, from a biblical perspective, and that is Genesis 3:17. So this is after sin, after Adam and Eve disobeyed God. God tells Adam, he says, because you have listened, this is from the Berean version, because you have listened to the voice of your wife, Eve, and have eaten from the tree from which I've commanded you not to eat. So they disobeyed. Cursed is the ground because of you. Through toil, you will not eat of it all the days of your life. So, oh no, I misquoted that. It says, through toil, you will eat of it all the days of your life. So you're going to have to work to eat now. See, before, you could command the chicken, come on here, chicken, flap right here, and then get on this plate. No, you know, you didn't have to run behind the chicken. The chicken was obeying your command. Now you got to toil to catch the chicken, to chop the chicken's head off, to do this and to do that. He goes on to say, God says to Adam, he says, both thorns and thistle it will yield for you, and you will eat the plant of the field. By the sweat of your brow you will eat your bread. So you can't even, you gotta sweat and bake and mix and do all this stuff even to get bread. To get bread, it's gonna take effort. It's gonna take sweat in order to do it, until you return to the ground. And so because of this disobedience that Adam did, from the day that he had to work like this, to toil until he died. All right, and so this is the curse upon mankind, unfortunately. Then he goes on to say, because out of it were you taken. So back to the ground, that's where you came from. For dust you are, and dust you shall return. So you pretty much know that. Now, again, that is after sin. That is the change. Look at the change. Look at how it went from you have dominion over everything to now you got to work and toil from it, and you are going to, in order to eat, you're going to have to toil. Okay, in fact, there's a scripture that says, man don't work, man don't eat. So it all goes together. Okay, you got to work for it. Before, it was so easy where you could command and speak, and you had. All right, but the fall of man. So now that we are talking about their sweat and labor, and now we're going back to this whole Labor Day thing where they're telling you, hey, work 8, 10, 12 hours, and we're going to give you one day off. And so, again, obviously, I am not advocating for women not working. I'm not advocating for you quitting your job, but I wanted you to understand that what the dynamic is, all of this is the consequence of being disobedient and what sin looks like. So we went from having things easy to being able to work. Now we have to work, and now it's not enough for the man to just work and the woman to stay home and raise the children. No, the woman wants to work too, because she wants to feel valued. Now she's working and the kids are left unattended. Okay, the kids are left unattended. They are not covered. Again, going back to kids not being covered, they are not taught morals and values. You don't have time. If you're a parent and you're working 10, 12 hours, even 8 hours, and the kids are in school, you really don't have time with your kids. Let's be honest. You don't have time with them. And you don't have time with your spouse. Let's be honest. You don't have time with them. All right, so now I want to talk to you about Proverbs chapter 27. I thought this was pretty valuable. And this is from the Passion Version. It says, a shepherd should pay close attention to the faces of his flock and hold close to his heart the conditions of those he cares for. A man's strength, power, and riches will one day fade away. Not even nations will endure forever. Take care of your responsibilities and be diligent in your business, and you will have more than enough, an abundance of food, clothing, plenty for your household. Now, the reason why I'm telling you this is because all of that work, again, creates people not paying attention to their household. Now, if you don't have kids and you have a spouse, you still need to be paying attention to your household. Okay, you don't have to have kids to have a family. It's important for you to pay attention to your household. And Proverbs 27 verses 23 to 27 explains exactly what you should be doing. You're a shepherd of your house, okay? Especially for the man. You're a shepherd of your house. Is telling you to pay attention to the flock. And see, that's what man was doing. He was working for himself. Adam was working for himself, paying attention to his own sheep, counting his own sheep, counting his own herd, right? But this verse tells you pay attention to your flock. It says a man's strength, power, and riches, it will once fade away. So you can work, you can toil and toil and toil, and it will fade away. It will not last for generation upon generation, okay? If that is all you're focused on, okay? And in fact, the toil, it only goes so far. That's what this verse says. It says, but the more important thing is to take care of your responsibilities, the responsibilities that God gives you, okay? Those things that he tells you to do, and be diligent in your businesses. Be diligent in your business with others. Be diligent in your business with God, and be diligent with the business of your household. And you will have what? More than enough. Not a little bit, not some, but more than enough. An abundance of food, clothing, and plenty, not just for you, but for your entire household. So I wanted to really expound on Proverbs 27 verses 23 and 20 through 27, so you can understand that what happens throughout the Bible is work is very important. Labor, how you labor, is very important. And it was so important that God sent his only son, Jesus. He returned to the earth, right? He came on earth and presented himself to be crucified and to resurrect, so you could get back your authority that Adam had stolen from him because of sin, okay? And so what does that mean? That means that Jesus came to bring you your authority, to put things in order, so that you can go back to Genesis chapter 26 through 28, that you get your dominion back, you get your power to subdue, to replenish and multiply. That's how much God loved you. He loved you that much that he sent his only son. It was a labor of love. He sent his only son so that he could go through those things, have all the weight of the world on his shoulders, the sin of the world on his shoulders, and on him, and then obviously be crucified and resurrect, so that you could live your life more abundantly. And even what does the word says? God came to give you life, in your life more abundantly. And this scripture says you get abundance of food, clothing, and plenty. So you don't have to worry about, that's one of the reasons why in Matthew chapter 6 it tells you don't worry about all of these things, the cares of this world. The birds don't even worry, so why would you worry? And so now I wanted to focus on, since I'm in Matthew, talking about Matthew chapter 11 verse 28, because I sense that some of you are tired, you're exhausted, you are not fulfilled in your jobs, and this day may bring about some goodness in the beginning because you got a little time off, but it may be some anxiousness by the time you watch this video, because you got to go back, you got to return back to work, and you didn't get enough sleep today, you didn't get enough rest, you didn't get enough of what you needed, you didn't rest in God. And so Matthew chapter 11 verse 28 says, come to me. And this is Jesus speaking. He says, all you that labor and are heavy laden, and I will give you rest. So I'm telling you that if there's anyone that's out there that's feeling heavy, that's feeling overwhelmed, go to God. In the Message Bible, that reads, and this is very plain, it reads very well. It says, are you tired? Are you worn out? Are you burned out? Okay, come to me. Get away with me. Come on, get away with me, and you'll recover your life. I'll show you how to take a real rest. Walk with me. Walk with me. Watch how I do it. Learn the unforced rhythms of grace. I won't lay anything heavy or ill-fitting on you. Keep company with me, and you'll learn to live freely and lightly. And so, isn't that what God does? Isn't that who He is? You come to Him in your secret place, you surrender yourself to Him, and there is healing in the surrender. And so that is who He is. He's giving you rest. So if you're anyone out there, if you're watching this and you're feeling tired, depleted, I'm asking you to really depend on that verse, Matthew chapter 11, verse 28, and you go to God and you turn over your cares to Him, your labor worries to Him, and watch God give you rest. Watch Him take on that burden and refresh your life and replenish you. Watch Him revive you. Okay, so please do that. And that's the whole point. That was one of the main reasons why Jesus came. He came to restore, and so He restores. Genesis chapter 1 verses 26 through 28. He restores, and so He knows that you're laboring. He knows that you're toiling and it's heavy, but He is our resting place. So with that, I'm going to close right here and say that I really do hope that you had a great Labor Day. And again, I'm not advocating for you not working or laboring. That's something that we definitely have to do because we want to live. We want to eat, we want to live, and we have our own way of life in which we do want to live. But at the same time, I know that Jesus can restore you, that He can revive you, and He wants you to exercise that dominion that He gave you in Genesis chapter 1 verses 26 through 28. He wants you to be restored. He wants you to exercise control over those things. Even though you're laboring, you can actually go and labor in love, for love, because that's who God is. He is love. You can labor for love in every single thing that you do, in your job. Why? Because His Son did it. Jesus did it. God's Son did it. Jesus did it for you, and you can do it as well. So I'm going to end right there. Again, I hope that you had a wonderful Labor Day. I say to you, have dominion over your money, have dominion over your job, have dominion, take dominion. Don't let your job control you, but you control your job, and rest in God. So that is all for now. Be all in 2025. God over everything. Please remember that. Like, share, and subscribe.